a new social live streaming platform called Playback, which has sort of described itself as the Twitch for sports. I suppose a little bit of background. It's led by the capital firm 776, who, if you don't know, is one of the leaders of that, is the co-founder of Reddit, also the husband of Serena Williams. I'm just going to butcher his last name, Nick, so I'll let you do it if you want to try to do it when you go on to it. But it is interesting, Nick, because we're seeing more and more of celebrities, influencers being involved. We spoke to the folks at Casa TV and what they're doing. So to see an investment from the NBA into this new platform, I think is sort of confirming some of what we know. But when someone like the NBA does it, it just sort of validates where things are headed a little bit more.
Interesting, right? So this topic, I find the whole topic around investment, which is we're launching something around investment soon, super interesting. But I find it also interesting when you hear a sports property or an athlete attached to it, to know why are they quote unquote investing in some of those things. But before I go down that rabbit hole, I would say Alexis Ohanian, I think is his name. He's quite outspoken. He gets a lot of media coverage as well. He's made a bunch of investments, as I think he's probably one of the driving forces behind Serena's empire as well. She's got a huge array of investments as well. Look, when I saw this story, I think it's interesting for a couple of reasons. Like, one is there's 22 million that's been raised. That's not bad for a startup tech company, startup tech platform. My concern, though, when I saw it is I've seen a lot of these platforms pop up over the years. These sort of social, watch together style things pop up, and they've never been able to find their place. Interesting about this platform is that the NBA did have a pre-existing relationship with them with some rights. There was a rights agreement in place which allowed them to basically have creators broadcast and watch the games together with fans, where there was the ability to subscribe, basically like you can on Twitch. Subscribe, donate, perhaps purchase, etc. So they were trying to mirror that Twitch experience. They did a rights deal with the NBA, and there must be something good there, basically, because they've been able to back that up and get some extra funding. Now, the NBA announcing that they're investors, I think that's more of one of those things that they weren't willing to perhaps pay, or didn't have the capital to pay the level of investment for the rights that perhaps they wanted. And so the NBA took a cut of an investment in some of those in the business, basically. So some of the value they'd be bringing to the table, I'm guessing, would likely be the rights is what they're paying for that investment into the organization. 776, probably more of a traditional deal, but I'm sure there's a bit of a discount going on with Ohanian's background, contacts, etc., that they're going to be leaning into. One thing that stood out for me, though, when I've been talking to people about sort of this creator economy, this ability to monetize this and watch-alongs and so forth, and also what NFL have done with allowing some of their creators to get access to the Sunday ticket rights and broadcast on YouTube, is that I had a couple of conversations, and this has come up a couple of times now, is that there's a feeling that creators are going to slowly start trying to move away from YouTube and Twitch to get a more control of their audiences. Now, there's been a few attempts to drive them away, and normally they've come back. But and YouTube and Twitch have been very good at like dangling the carrot, making sure they're driving mass audiences, being a valuable addition to the business. But that normally leads to a much smaller cut of what they could potentially be earning if they had it on their own destination. And so this platform is basically an enabler of that. It's an enabler of basically allowing creators access to a premium piece of content. They used Gilbert Arenas was one of the creators, who's an ex-NBA player. He's a bit of a media, I wouldn't call him a pundit, but an active personality.
Contributor.
Contribute to the conversation. He gets has a lot of output on social, and they've used it there, and it must have been successful in some way. So look, I think it's an interesting thing to look at for a couple of reasons. One is that whole point around, okay, the NBA is being marked as an investor. I'm skeptical how much money they put on the table versus just how much is wrapped into that rights deal. And also just that I am hearing that there's more interest from creators actively to find a different way to build out their own community on their own platforms, which is not the first time this has come up in the industry, but it seems to be becoming just talked about again.